G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, it is Thursday. And yes, it's time to read some rugby news. And yes, before we begin, before we talk about Sir Eddie, right, I would just like to tell you a little bit of life advice that was given to me when I was a little kid from my mother. Okay? So, she sat me down and she looked at me, right? She's like, listen, Wildcard. I'm going to tell you something that you need to remember for the rest of your life. And it's really, really important. I was like, okay, Ma, what is it? Is it dinner time? No. She said to me, listen, when you get older, right, there will be people that lie to you. There will be people that cheat on you, that steals from you, that do all sorts of things to try to take advantage of you and make a buck for themselves, right? And once they did that to you, there will be a day when they come back to you and say, oh my God, Wildcard, I am so sorry. I will never do that again. I promise, I swear to God, I will never do that again. Please forgive me. That day will come for these people. And she said to me, when they ask for forgiveness, you forgive them. But you never forget. You never forget what they did to you did you wrong in the first place. Because these people, at their core, they can never actually move away from the things that they did to wrong you in the first place. At the core, they may never change. Most of them don't change. And you gotta remember that. And never allow these people to take advantage of you again in a similar situation. And sure enough, we see this again and again and again. Liars, no matter how hard they say, oh, I've discovered myself to never lie again. I've taken the truth pill. I'm never gonna lie again. They're still gonna lie to you. Oh, I'm never gonna cheat on you again. I'm gonna be the greatest person to you ever. They will cheat on you. And we see this all the time. And once again, Eddie Jones has been suspended for abusing the referee. I still remember that it was in, 2000 and, over 20 years ago, 2004, after the Rugby World Cup, where Eddie Jones got suspended. Got fined for criticizing the referee back then. And boy, he's done it again. And this time, the Japanese National Union has come down pretty hard on him. And Eddie Jones, I'm deeply regret my behavior. Yeah. You deeply regret your behavior because the Japanese Union has come down hard on you. And it's starting to hurt a little bit. But hey, you're just doing what you always do, Eddie. You lie, you cheat, and then you do whatever it is that suits your agenda. You never care, right? I'm sure in 5 years' time, in fact, once you retire from rugby as a coach, you will criticize the referees every freaking weekend on your stupid podcast. I guarantee it, you will do that. No matter how hard you say, I regret it, I would never criticize the referees again, you will do it as soon as it suits you and your wallet. So guys, just remember that. Remember that sage advice from my mother. Never let the people that lie to you to do that to you again. And Eddie Jones. So a lot of people were saying that he was suspended because he complained about the Japanese referee on social media, but no, it's not the case. Even though Steve Hansen did criticize the Japanese referees last week, but Eddie Jones was on tour with the Japanese under-23s team here in Australia, and then there was no indication exactly when this happened or which referee this happened to, but it is reported that he abused one of the referees during one of the games. So the Japan played, Hong Kong, Maori All Black. They played a bunch of teams, including the Australian under-20s team. And then one of the teams, he abused the referee and is now suspended. So he's not actually a Japanese referee that he abused. He's probably one of the Aussie referees that was, refereeing one of these games. And yeah, he's got suspended 6 weeks, has his salary reduced, and he's been banned from taking part of the next 4 matches in the Japanese national team, including against Hong Kong, Maori All Blacks, and Italy. 2 games against Hong Kong, the Maori All Blacks, and against Italy. So yeah, this is going to sting a little bit for Eddie Jones, but hey, once you're a liar, you will always lie, okay? Don't pretend that you're going to change. I'm sure you're going to start talking shit about the referee as soon as you're not longer obligated by your contract, Mr. Eddie Jones. Anyway, let's move on. So the New Zealand Rugby announced a new CEO last week. His name is, what's his name? His name is, what's his name? What's his name? Steve Lancaster, right? So the new CEO, Steve Lancaster, a lot of you guys were talking about maybe he's going to bring in some changes. Maybe he's going to, shuffle the strict All Black selection criteria up a little bit. But no, turns out he's super conservative, just like he's probably more conservative than his predecessors. And it is in his firm belief that New Zealand Rugby should be sticking to the old ways. And some of the conversation, some of the language that he used in this, conversation or in this interview or whatever, press conference or whatever, was a little bit concerning. A little bit concerning for my part, because he sounded like a salesperson at an earnings call trying to get everyone to buy the stock, not a CEO that is keen to grow the game of rugby. So yeah, let's have a look at what he said. And you can tell me what you think about it as well. So this obviously is, one of the plaguing problem with New Zealand Rugby is players going overseas. And the other problem with New Zealand Rugby is when they come back, some of them has to play in one season domestically before they're eligible for the All Black selection. So obviously, Sam Perifetta was someone that's been talking about going overseas to Japan, alongside of a lot of people. And basically, this guy came out and said, it is what it is. We're just going to be, focusing on improving the product of Super Rugby. Okay? The fact that he called Super Rugby a product, boy, that was already concerning. And then he further talked about how he sees the game from the spreadsheet, which I think is the most concerning part, right? I talk about this every weekend. Now we have confirmation that in fact they do look at stupid spreadsheet criteria that they invented out of their assholes to justify themselves being the CEO, right? So one of the things that he talk about, one of the metrics that indicating the product is good, buy the stock please, is that the number of minutes lost to match official intervention and the number of tries scored. They're all tracking towards the right direction, meaning that Super Rugby is doing really well. Now, would you ever looked at a Rugby World Cup final and said that, my goodness, there was a lot of tries being scored in this game? That's a good Rugby World Cup final. Would you look at a really, would you look at any competition by the number of goals that's been scored? Has anyone ever looked at a soccer game and there was like 7 scored in one side and then the 5 scored in the other side and said that's the best soccer game that we've ever seen? No, not a single person used that as the indicator for how good a game is. But at New Zealand Rugby, that is in fact an important indicator. How many tries we've scored? How many tries that the team scored? Because that's what the fans want to see. Because they need to manufacture excitement. Manufacture numbers to justify their existence. And what is really, really stupid, right, with the number of tries being scored as an indicator, right, is the fact that it's more of an indicator of poor defense. It shouldn't be an indicator. It doesn't even make sense, right? Just think about it. If there's a lot of tries being scored, it means that the players are really shit at defending. And how is that in any way a measurement of success for a competition. And yet, you have the CEO of New Zealand Rugby using that proudly as an indicator of how the sport is doing really well, because nobody can make tackles, scored a lot of tries, and the number of try scoring is going up. Great. Game is going great. Another second thing as well, match official intervention. Again, this is just like, I know a lot of people, complain about the referee and whatnot. Fans, I see that a lot in the comments. The one thing that I say to people complaining about a referee is it the referee's fault that the player infringed? Is it the referee's fault if there's a lot of penalties given out? Is it the referee's fault if you had to pack a scrum constantly because players can't hold on to the ball and they can't catch the ball? No, it's the player's fault. And somehow the burden is put onto the referee, right? According to Super Rugby, it's the referee's fault that the players are giving away penalties. It's the referee's fault that the players are dropping the ball. So what do we do? Let's tell the referees to ignore the knock-ons. Let's tell the referees to ignore the penalties, to ignore the high shots. Exactly what we saw in the weekend. In the abysmal referee performance, especially the one in the Reds game. The Reds against the Chiefs game. Because where does it come from, right? Why did it happen? Because you have the CEO of New Zealand Rugby using these bullshit metrics for the success of the game. You know what metric you should be using? How many people that are showing up to the game are coming back the next week? How many people are coming to the games with their kids? Has the number of kids coming to watch the game grown or not? That's probably the most important metric. That's your long-term growth of the game. Not the metric is used by this fucking moron. Yeah, I just called him a fucking moron. I should be hearing him saying how many kids has returned, how many people are actually signing up to playing rugby, and what we are doing to grow that, to grow the grassroots, to allow kids to play rugby. How are we growing the revenue in NPC by getting more people showing up to the stadium? Not just bullshit stuff that completely makes nonsense, like referee intervention as your measure of success of the business. Just absolute fucking idiot, this guy. Anyway, I didn't actually want to rant, but just nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. Anyway, and here's another one, right? And I'm pretty sure this might be a lie. We have incredible online engagement, and Super Rugby is the most followed domestic rugby competition in the world on social media. What? This sounds like a lie to me. I'm pretty sure just by the number of players that are signed to play rugby, just like the number of teams that is involved in the competition, in the French competition, they literally have top 14 and 3 tiers of competition below that. Surely this will be the French. How did you get this measurement? How did you get this measurement? Super Rugby is the most followed domestic rugby competition in the world on social media. In the world on social media. What the fuck? Anyway, sorry New Zealand Rugby, but this guy's a fucking idiot. Is a moron. Yes, please keep using stupid metrics like referee, time in, maybe you can have another stupid one like, referee time spent on the field, right? Maybe you can start mapping where the referee actually is on the field, right? Maybe the time that he spends inside the 22 will be an indicator of how many tries they might score. It'll be an indicator of how exciting the game is because the referees spend 50% of the time inside either end of the 22. Maybe that could be an indicator of how fucking good the sport is going, right? Not how many kids are coming to the games, not how many kids are signing up to the club rugbies, right? Not how many people are coming back the next week to watch the game return. Nah, none of that. But let's put it on the referee. Let's put it on the referee to be the indicator of how good Super Rugby is. Absolutely atrocious. By the way, after that Reds game, that horrendous referee Reds game, they actually said it's not the referee's fault. It is protocol. It is true. It is the protocol set by New Zealand Rugby and Australian Rugby. It's not aligned with the World Rugby in any way, shape, or form. It is complete bullshit, right? Just ignore everything, not check for the tries. So we had, no check for tries. People, they actually say that this was following that bullshit protocol. So I actually went out of my way to watch a bunch of games in Europe, right? I watched URC, I watched Top 14, I watched the English Premiership, and let me tell you something. The TMO interjects all the fucking time in those competitions. That's the standard that World Rugby want. They want the TMO to check everything. Like it or not, that is how the world is going. Like it or not, they don't want people to get sued. They don't want the clubs to get sued because the players get hit in the head and nobody even looked at it. That's how he goes in France. That's how he goes in Europe, in UK. That's how he goes in the URC. Not this bullshit. Let's rush everything and make sure that the referee involvement is fucking metrics down to 0. Once the international referee comes around, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. And the fans going to get pissed off even more. And then you're going to, come up with some other metrics to justify your existence, right? Oh, it's World Rugby's fault. Look at Rugby League. They're doing so much better than us. Rugby League has so much fewer yellow cards than Rugby Union. God, World Rugby's don't know what they're doing. We need to be more like Rugby League and give out fewer penalties and yellow cards. Even though you have created the environment for players to play in a competition that was never punished, never addressed, never adjusted to a safer playing style, it's all your fault. You're going to blame it on other people. Just fucking morons. Absolute fucking morons. Running running New Zealand Rugby and Australian Rugby. And also, he's going to stick to his guns. And Richie Mounga will not be allowed to play for the South African tour. He's already signed for 18 fucking months. You're not gonna let him play. Gotta do your, get him. Get the top poppy. Get the top poppy and chop him off. Who cares? Who cares about the fans that wants to see the All Blacks win? Who cares about the people in New Zealand that actually want their team to do well? Fuck you all. Fuck all of you fans who actually care about your team. Who actually want New Zealand Rugby to do well against the biggest rival. Fuck you. Gotta make sure the top poppy doesn't stick out too far. So yeah, he's not gonna be playing, right? And then, this is another problem I'm thinking as well, right? So Dave Rennie, everybody's talking about who should be the All Blacks captain. And instead of Dave Rennie, I'm gonna criticize him a little bit here as well. Instead of just taking the job upon himself, because he's the All Blacks head coach, because it is his job to select, to make the decision on a captain that's gonna work well with you, your coaching staff, and the rest of the team. Instead of making that decision yourself, he has decided to bring in Richie McCaw, Dan Carter, and Kevin Mialamu to help make the decision. Oh wait, no, that's not yet. And a basketball player, Steven Adams, to help with the All Blacks captain selection. Now, Richie McCaw, Dan Carter, and Kevin Mialamu, I can understand. Maybe they could come in and talk to players and help with the decision. what is Steve Adams gonna do? This tells me that this is just a farcical exercise, right? Because the Dave Rennie don't want to take responsibility for himself. As the head coach of the All Blacks, he doesn't want to be blamed for picking the wrong captain. So let's get someone else to do it. Let's get some basketball players to come do it. So he doesn't get blamed. It's everybody. Well, we consulted with everyone, right? Didn't work out. It's their fault. And also, he brought back Graham Henry as a selection, a selecting coach. Fine, okay, whatever. But I just, if Graham Henry has been working in what, Japan? Where has been working on Japan? What he's been doing? He's been in Japan, yeah. No way, is he in Japan? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how involved has Graham Henry been with the players in Super Rugby. Has he been going around talking to the players? Has he been watching Super Rugby? I don't know. Maybe he does, right? So to be a selector, you need to have contact with the players. Has he been doing that? Or again, is Dave Rennie just palming off the responsibility to somebody else? Anyway, that's my little rant about the All Blacks. Moving on. New Zealand, sorry. So this young guy, Trayvon Pritchard, to be honest, he's a new guy, and Stan Sport and Rugby Australia seems to be talking him up quite a bit. To be honest, honestly, he scored a try on the weekend. He reminded me of Jordi Patea, but again, he's still 19-year-old. It's too early to say that it's gonna be anything at this stage, right? Remember, anything can happen. They could go play for another nation before debuting for the Wallabies. But anyway, there is some talk that he's going to consider for Rugby League for the Papua New Guinea Chiefs, which is a new team that's been added to Rugby League. But I do think that this is kind of like a symptom of, the Rugby League, the Rugby League problem that they brought in upon themselves. Now that all the players with any bit of talent wants to go to Rugby League first, because that's how you get the Rugby Australia to open up the checkbook to bring you back. You open up this can of worms, now you're going to have to eat it. We're going to talk about the terrible refereeing with the All Blacks. But on the weekend, there was, again, some horrendous stuff that happened in the URC. I did watch this game to see Angus Bell play and also Sacha Fanberg as well. This was a draw, surprise. And one of the biggest problems this game was the shoulder drop from Iain Henderson on Dion Fourie. Dion Fourie, 39 years of age, an absolute legend of, I think for all of us, I think he's just an outstanding human being. He made it into the Springboks at 35. He debuted for the Springboks at 35. He's been around for an eternity. He's been around for a very long time, and he's 39 and still going, and he's suffered quite a few injuries. I thought he was gonna, he had a leg injury last year or the year before. I thought it was the year for him, but he's back. Again, this is another one. It's a pretty bad injury, landing on his leg. This is the exact same technique Kalen Doris deployed on Malcolm Marx a couple years ago when they played that 3-test series in South Africa. And yeah, I was talking to some of you guys in the comments after I did a review on this game. I do think that there's a coaching issue at the national team in Ireland. Obviously, the players has been given wrestling training, but yeah, this should not even be this. The players should recognize that they've not able to, this is should not even, you should just let it go and roll away. Not actually try to move him once Dion is in that spot and he's won the ball. He's won the ball. You should just let him have it. You've lost the breakdown. And instead of just dropping just trying to drop your shoulder on their leg to destabilize them, it is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. But there's no decision on how long suspension is yet. But anyway, with that being said, Rassie Erasmus, an alignment camp coming up next week, has announced 10 new players for this alignment camp. They do quite a few alignment camps, but 10 uncapped players bringing into the fold. One player that won't be in the fold is this guy, Ntalaba Kanye. He was in the Springbok camp last year, but he never. Did he actually play for the Springbok? Did he have one test or something? But yeah, he's a big boy. He plays for the Lions, and he's been done for doping, and he's 18 months banned. So yeah. Speaking of doping ban, 6 former Georgian players has been and the staff has been banned. And they've all been banned in combination of 35 years. So each of them has been banned for multiple years each. So yeah, this is again, this was traced back to 2023 Rugby World Cup. So one of the things that a lot of people were saying, oh, how are we going to catch people with doping and stuff? They do have a record. They do keep a record, samples for many, many years. And then they go back. Even if you're clean, they will go back when the technology improves, and they can still get you years down the line for something that you did, many years ago. So 2023, that's like what, 3 years ago, and they're still able to done these players for doping from Georgia. So anyway, Super Rugby this weekend has a short weekend. Chiefs Highlanders, Jura versus the Waratahs, Blues versus Hurricanes, and Western Force versus the Reds, and that's all we got this weekend. Just quick preview for the Jura versus Waratahs game. The Jura's team is has been announced, so let's just quickly go through them. Penny Ravai coming number 9, Tongi Tama number 2, Masake Donge number 3, Isoa Nasila Sila number 4, Timo Maya Nathavanu number 5, I think. Itonia Wanga number 6, Kition Salava number 7, Elia Thana Kavatai comes in number 8, Isaac Fine Ledawasa number 9. Is that right? Ledawasa? Oh yeah, Ledawasa's number 9. Yes, he's formerly from the Western Force. Isaiah Armstrong Ravola number 10, Manasa Mataele number 11, Vermi Vakatava number 12, Tuidraki Samu Vodre number 13, Fragnomadni number 14, and Isikeli Rambutu number 15, who's been really, 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 really good for the Endurers this year. I'm not going to go through the bench for the Endurers because I just don't want to botch everybody's name. We'll go to the Waratahs. We'll go Jack Barrett coming number 1. Yuwone Moananu comes in at number 2. Daniel Botha backs from the suspension, number 3. Matt Phillip, number 4. Miles Amata Cero, number 5. What's his name? Angus Blythe has got an ankle injury. Sorry, not sure how long he's out for. Hopefully not too bad. Clem Halaholo comes in number 7. Charlie at number 6. Charlie Gamble, number 7. Angus Scott Young comes in at number 8. Charlie Gamble, also some news as well. He's going to Japan next season. Yeah, so he's gone. Teddy Wilson comes, and then we got a replacement, which is who's a replacement? This is a Brumbies replacement for the Brumbies. I think they're bringing in what's his name? They're bringing in a Brumbies replacement for Gamble. We'll look at that in a minute. Angus Scott Young, number 8. I've got Teddy Wilson, number 9. Jack Bowen comes in at number 10. Is it Jack or Joe? Coming number 10. Tristan Riley, number 11. Lawson Crichton, number 12. Joseph Akususwali, number 13. Harry Potter comes back at 14. Max Jorgensen retains the number 15 jersey. So yeah, I think this is going to be, again, a tough game for anybody visiting Fiji. But, last week the Waratahs was a little bit disconnected from, the thing I was, even though they lost, they fought back against the Highlanders and they got pretty close. They almost won it. But the fact that they pushed out of the comfort zone with Swali'i, and I think that is one good direction, one good step forward. And hopefully that they can do that again against the Jura and not just kick a bunch of penalties. I know it's going to be hard. It can be so tempting to just kick a few penalty goals and call it a day. But this is where you build your character. And hopefully they can do that this weekend. So Charlie Gamble's gone, and Luke Reimer, that's right, Reimer's coming to the Waratahs from the Brumbies. We've got Dalton Papali'i has a broken jaw, but he's going overseas as well. But he thinks that he might be getting him back sooner than before the end of the season. Fabian Holland has an injury from the beginning of the season, and he's going to be back. He's currently looking at it's going to be back before the All Blacks tour. So he will be going to South Africa most likely. Joe Schmidt is helping out the Sevens team with the Wallabies. Donaldson has a bit of a quad injury, so he's going to be out for a short period. Hopefully not too bad. Lane Ikitel, there were some talks that obviously he's got a contract. He's got a sabbatical at the Exeter Chiefs. And the Chiefs boss actually came out this week and said that they're looking at re-signing him after his contract is done with the Wallabies after 2027. Yeah, so after the World Cup next year, his contract's done, and Chiefs will try to pick him up after that. So they're pretty happy with him, despite he had a bit of injury earlier on. The Champions Cup and Challenger Cup finals are coming up with Carl Dixon getting the Champions Cup final. He's been really, really good, actually. He's quite improved quite a bit. And Matthew Carley, another Englishman, will be getting the Challenger Cup for the European champions. So Munster had a bit of an independent review. They had a bit of an issue with their club. They basically hired a guy, Roger Randall, who's being accused of misconduct, and they have to fire him, and then you trigger this whole independent review internally for the club. But yeah, so they're gonna do that. That is coming up, the independent review. So Liam Bowron has re-signed with the Brumbies to 2028, and finally, Fangagasi has re-signed with Western Force for another year for 2027. And yeah, that's the news for the day. Let me know your thoughts about the All Blacks, and thank you for watching, and have a good one. Cheers.